Pro Bowler with the Broncos and the Washington football team, and he is joining me right now on Herd for the holidays. Mark, generally, dynasties don't last as long as we think for a variety of reasons. Kansas City has the makings of a dynasty, a respected head coach, a brilliant talent at quarterback, stability and ownership in the front office. They're obviously able to score quickly, with flash, with brilliance, playing with a lead or from behind. It doesn't get in the way of what they're trying to accomplish. But if there's anything, having been in a dynasty with Denver, if there's anything that would concern you going forward with the Chiefs, what would it be?
Well, I think there's always a couple of things. One, I think that the most remarkable thing about the Patriots dynasty was nobody seemed to be sated by success. And human nature says to me that when I have a bunch of success, I'm going to get sated by that. I'm going to let things kind of ease off. I'm going to relax a little bit. And that to me, I think is the biggest thing that you have to overcome. You get opportunities outside the game, whether it's commercials, whether it's, endorsement deals, whatever the case may be. Guys get upset about their money and want more celebrity or want more fame. And to be able to put that stuff aside every year and go back to the grind of winning football games and championship caliber football games, that to me is the biggest part of it. And health, obviously, the next biggest part. But that to me is really what is so difficult. Like right now, you watch the Chiefs over the course of the season, and there are times when they seem to be sleepwalking through games because they know they're so darn good that they can score at will. And, human nature says to me that when things are going well, I've never really learned anything about myself because I'm too busy patting myself on the back. It's when things are tough that you actually learn about what it takes. And so that would be my biggest concern is that they just get satisfied.
Now that we can look at the Belichick and Brady divorce in the rearview mirror, do you think they should have stayed together? Do you think they were better off separating, rebuilding? Where do you stand on it today?
Yeah, no, I think they're best off, best being apart. I mean, Brady wanted to get away from there. He wanted another opportunity, and he got that in Tampa Bay. Now it has not been smooth. There have not been enough easy answers designed in the offense. There has been a tough and a struggle, if you will, a tough transition, being on the same page as everybody else. Brady actually told me, talking to Brady, about how difficult it is to play in Tampa because the extra work that he used to get in with his receivers and everybody together in the cool climate of New England, you can't do it in Tampa Bay. So where they used to get double the work during any practice, he goes, when we go off and the defense comes on, our guys are too busy trying to get hydrated, trying to get some rest because of the heat in Tampa. So it's been a slower process probably than even he anticipated it being. But listen, Tom Brady is in the midst of a playoff hunt in Tampa Bay, and it looks like the New England Patriots on the outside looking in. So I think the divorce was probably a long time coming. I think it's probably best for both sides.
Certain franchises have a disadvantage maybe where their geographical location is. Green Bay is geographically fine, but it's the smallest professional sports city and has not been attractive to free agents. That's something they've dealt with since the days you played. Aaron Rodgers has a Super Bowl. They have a nice, shiny record. Does he need another Super Bowl to elevate his legacy, or has it been formed? Is it substantial enough now that even if Aaron doesn't win another, he's in that elite top 8-10 class all time?
Yeah, well, I think he's going to be in the elite top 10 quarterbacks of all time. I mean, he's 37 years old and putting an MVP season together. So the guy is amazing in what he's done. But if you want to get to the big boy table, so to speak, you have to have multiple championships. And like, to me, there's no question he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. But when you start talking about, hey, all-time greats, if you're in that GOAT conversation, so to speak, you got to have multiple rings to sit at that table with a Peyton Manning, with a Tom Brady, with a Joe Montana, with a Terry Bradshaw. Those guys have the multiple rings, and I think Aaron needs another one to kind of be in that conversation. No question, he's one of the all-time greats. He's a phenomenal player. Like I said, at 37 years old, probably my front runner for an MVP right now. But to be at the elite table, if you will, you've got to have multiple championships.
You loved run blocking as a multiple-time Pro Bowler for the Broncos and the Washington football team. But we're in a time now where the best athlete on a football team is often the quarterback. The game certainly looks different. Fewer huddles, faster pace. Quarterbacks almost now required to move. Do you like the game? Do you worry about it going forward? When you watch a Lamar, a Kyler Murray, players that play the game differently than they did when you played.
No, I like the game. I still think you've got to eventually be able to win from the pocket. But the bottom line to me, whether you run the ball or whether you don't run the ball, or whether you choose to, like a lot of offensive coordinators would like to tell you that, the short passing game is an extension of the running game, and that's a bunch of baloney. Ultimately, to me, the team that dominates the line of scrimmage, the team that captures the line of scrimmage, both on offense and defense, are going to win the majority of their games. I like the quarterbacks that are mobile. I like guys and seeing guys, scramble around. I just don't think long-term that's a recipe for long-term success. But anymore, if your window is 3 to 4 years, or if you can have a quarterback that lasts for 6, 7, 8 years running around, I mean, the odds are, you're going to have an opportunity to be, at the upper echelon of NFL teams. So I like the direction of the game. I like the strategy of it, and I like to see how people try to defend it.
One of the more gutting moments of the year was Dak's injury. He had turned down a longer, lucrative offer. They franchise tagged him. Going forward, what do you foresee for Dak and the Cowboys over the next 4 to 5 years?
Well, I mean, I think Dak is going to be the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, whether they franchise him again or whether they figure out what a long-term deal looks like. But certainly, I think obviously the injury was devastating, but I think the psychology of the football team has been devastated by the injury of Dak Prescott. He clearly seems to me to be the leader of that franchise, and you've got to be able to find a way to get those guys under contract long-term, especially. And this is always something that's really interesting to me about the psychology of a locker room, Colin. When you don't take care of the guys that you've drafted, the homegrown guys who have come out and played beyond expectation, and in the locker room, the feeling is, well, that guy earned it. He performed above and beyond the call of duty, and you guys chose to play hardball with him. That never goes well. It makes players in the locker room look at the upper echelon of the organization and makes you question the way they do business. And so that's a bad situation. I think it would behoove Dallas to figure out a way to get Dak Prescott locked up long-term, and that will start the healing process for that franchise. Because I guarantee you, just being in enough locker rooms over the course of my lifetime, that will fracture a locker room, especially when you don't take care of the guys that you have a ton of respect for within that locker room.
I'm going to give you 3 teams, not the Kansas City Chiefs, who will be the favorite to win it all. I'm going to give you 3 playoff teams that are good, but maybe have a hole, and I want you to give me your thoughts on what transpires over the next month. The Buffalo Bills.
Buffalo Bills are a really good football team. They've got a young, emerging star at the quarterback position that I think can play above the X's and O's. And I'm talking about not necessarily from the neck up. I'm talking about physicality wise. When things break down, he can scramble around. He can pick up first downs. He's a big physical cat. And I'm telling you, there's not a throw on a football field this guy can't make. He's got an absolute hose at the quarterback position. So that to me is a guy that, comes with some X factor. Plus, when I watch Buffalo defensively, I like what they're doing. I like their front seven. I just like the way they play the game. So I think they've got a chance to be really good.
Yeah, Josh Allen and Coach Sean McDermott. By the way, they look like the Steelers when Ben came into the league. McDermott and Mike Tomlin both played at William & Mary from the defensive side. Let's go with a team that, when healthy at running back, can be scary good. The Seattle Seahawks over the next month and a half.
Yeah, Seattle is a really good football team. I think when they're balanced, this whole narrative of let Russ cook, I think when they're balanced, that's when they're their best. And I think the thing that you have to understand, because everybody loves the big time plays over the top to DK Metcalf, to Tyler Lockett, and they have those things, those explosive plays designed. I think they're the best team in football when things break down. Their quarterback does such a good job of extending plays, and I think there's nobody better in a scramble drill than the receivers they have. They're all on the same page. But ultimately, their defense has hurt them at times over the course of the season. And to me, what ends up happening is you've got to play complementary football. So I believe you've got to run the ball. You've got to possess the clock. You've got to shorten the game down, shorten some of the possessions down so your defense doesn't have to play 12 or 13 possessions. Your defense has to play 9 or 10 possessions. And then they have the ability to get off the football field with Jamal Adams, blitzing and doing the things that he does. So I think it's more important that offense run the ball and be balanced to take some of the pressure off that defense that has hurt them on occasion.
And finally, a franchise that has struggled for 2 decades, but now is emerging as a captivating, at least offensive football team, the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, they've really done some great things. Obviously, they lost Odell Beckham Jr. to an injury, but they weathered that storm and they figured out exactly who they are. They are a classic West Coast wide zone football team, boot keep football team. Baker Mayfield has done a great
Go, 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 go.